I worked Monday through Friday. And then I had a break between 1:30 and 3 to like catch up on cases or calls or things like that, eat lunch. I would make it a priority to be done by 2, and I would hop into the 2 o'clock Zoom um, e- every day. I would come out of work in like a flurry from like the morning appointments and all the stress and the staff stress and all of that. And then I would sit in meditation and see like, even though we're all on a computer screen, I felt like, oh, like these are my people. Like it's going to be okay. And then I would walk into work like a different person.
Welcome back to Cham Chats. We're here today with Julie. She's a member here at Lyndhurst Meditation. Hello, Julie.
Hello, how are you guys doing today?
Very good. How about you?
Good. I'm doing really well. Really well. Happy to be here.
Good. Happy to have you.
I feel very grateful that you guys asked me. It's an honor. So I'm very grateful to be here, yes.
We're very grateful for you. Julie
Thank
has
you.
a great story to share.
Yes. I have lots of stories. I can tell lots of those, yes. I will say I do have that. So.
Yeah. So how long have you been meditating?
I found my way here in, I guess it was February 2022. My long-term boyfriend has been doing this method for a while, and then shortly after he had been doing it, my sister started doing it too, and I always sort of knew of it. And at the time when I started, I was going through it was just like a really weird and confusing time in my life, and I just felt like something was missing and I needed something and I needed some guidance. And I said, maybe I'll give it a try and see if it works for me. So I'm still here because it's still working for me. So yep.
I think that's why we're all still here.
Yeah,
It's still
exactly.
working.
Yeah. So I was having some issues with, just work, and one of my like best friends, I wasn't talking to her, and I just felt like something was off. And, how could I be navigating these situations better? And, it's been a tremendous help with all of those things. So, which we'll obviously get to. So.
Yeah. I'm curious, from like seeing your boyfriend and your sister meditating, like did you happen to see like, wow, they're different? Or
Yes.
How did that...
Oh yeah. Yeah. They definitely changed. And I did see that, and I was like, well, maybe I want to give it a try. Yes. And that was, I could see that it was working for them. So I was like, let me be open to something new and see how this worked for me. So
tell us, what do you do for a living?
I am a veterinarian. I guess it's June of this year, I will have been a veterinarian for 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I can't believe time went by that quickly, but it did. And it's been quite a journey with that, which is what I guess we're going to talk about, is that why I needed the meditation is a lot of it stemmed from issues with what I do for a living.
So to me, being a veterinarian sounds like every kid's dream.
Yes.
Like every kid aspires.
Yes. Well, the dream takes them only so far. A lot of people have this in their heart when they're young, and then they get to a certain point where they realize how much schooling it takes, and how grades are important, and also financially, it is a big financial burden. So I think it really has to be your passion. It really has to be a passion project, or else there's so many hurdles. And I hate to say this, like be so negative about it, that a lot of people, the passion doesn't take them far enough, and they're like, I don't know if I can do this. But, I did have a stint where I wanted to be a science teacher. There was a brief moment in time where I was like, maybe I want to teach, but there's quite a bit of teaching in this, as far as like client interaction. So it's like, I'm kind of doing that already, but this is something I've always wanted to do. Ever since I was a kid, I loved animals. I was obsessed with dogs and cats and all kinds of animals. So this is really something that, and it's like they say, like most kids, this is like what you want to do in the 6th grade or the 5th grade. It's like you ask a kid, what do they want to do? I want to be a vet. So I definitely was that kid, and was grateful to have a lot of support, really making the dream come true, for my family. So
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I feel like, like you said, you have to be passionate about it. I feel
yeah,
like if you're not truly passionate about it, then you won't get that far. So
there's a lot. You're up against a few walls, but if you at the end of the day, if you really want it bad enough, you'll get there. You'll make it happen, no matter what. So if you have that, that grit, you'll get there. You'll get there. You'll make it happen. So
I think that's good too, because I think in a field like that, you don't really want people that don't want to be there.
Exactly. Because it's tough, which I'll get into, but you have to really want it. And if you do really want it, that's going to shine through in everything that you do and all your interactions with people, because it's really a lot of it. I guess depending on what avenue within veterinary medicine you choose to take, if you're a general practitioner or you're working in clinical practice, you have to deal with people all day, every day. People and personalities and things like that. So being able to do that is very important. So
speaking of people,
can
you describe your previous work environment and kind of the struggles? And
so I work in general practice, and I had a business with a partner, and for a good bulk of the time I was alone. I had obviously support staff and things like that, but I was in a very busy urban area. Pretty much we saw like dogs and cats, a spattering of like some other species, but really like mainly dogs and cats. And I was booked pretty solid all day, probably 20, 30 appointments a day, and, mostly some sick visits, but it was a lot. And it's a lot of work for one person to do, being like a solo practitioner. When I first got out of school, I worked at a big practice. And up until about 7, 8 years ago, I was working in practices where there were other people there with you. So they kind of shared the burden, and there was, like you could talk about cases with people and, like, what do I do about this? And, bounce ideas off of other vets. So working by yourself is difficult in that it's just you. So you have to make decisions on your own. You have to be quick on your feet, and things can get complicated. In human medicine, when you go to your primary care physician, your general practitioner, if something happens, or something's reasonably complicated, they're going to send you to a cardiologist or an internal medicine specialist or a dermatologist. It's very dynamic in that, like, we have to do all of those things. So, and, you know, there are cases where we will tell people, because there are specialties that exist within the realm of veterinary medicine too. Like, we have veterinary dermatologists and surgeons and cardiologists. And, you know, sometimes those services are warranted. Like, you have to pursue specialty care, but in a lot of cases, people either won't go or don't go, and you kind of have to figure things out on your own. So that can get very complicated. And it can get very difficult, especially when it gets busy. And I think that it's hard in the sense too, where being a veterinarian requires like a lot of compartmentalizing your emotions. You know, you'll be in one room having to, like, unfortunately euthanize an animal, like put an animal down for whatever reason, and then you'll have to go after that's done and go into another room and see like a puppy or a kitten, you know, or like a young dog that's just getting vaccines. And it's like this switching on and off of like emotions. It's like, you know, I would go in one room and I would unfortunately have to put something down, and I would have to shut that down like right away, and then go into another room and be like, hi, you know, how are you doing? And it's like, when you do that for such a long time, it becomes draining. It takes a lot out of you to have to do that day in and day out. And I think it's important to say, because I think people that want to pursue this field have to know that that's a part of it. And, you know, a lot of people don't know things. And so there's a lot of questions being asked and about medicine, and people don't understand medicine and science, and of course they don't. And so you do have to explain things. And I think I have to say, not a lot of people listen to what you're saying. So I think there's some sort of statistic that people get like maybe 10% of what you actually tell them, like they'll remember. So you're often repeating things over and over and over again. And it can be hard, you know, doing that, you know, and having to explain things over and over again, or maybe explain things because people aren't listening to what you're saying. And so again, that can be very stressful. And then of course you're dealing with life and death things. You know, a lot of veterinarians are doing surgery. So you have to make sure the same thing, like, you know, if you or I go and get surgery, you've got an anesthesia person, like an anesthesiologist, a surgeon, a bunch of nurses. As a vet in a general practice, it's like you, a technician, maybe another assistant, you know, so you don't you have to be knowledgeable about everything, you know, anesthetic drugs, the surgery itself, you know, actually inducing the anesthesia. So we're kind of like jacks of all trades. Like we wear many hats, and we have to be capable of doing everything, where the same thing doesn't exist for, you know, for human medicine. You're within, you know, you stay within your specialty. Right. And I mean, I'll say this, because my mom was recently just in the hospital. She was very sick. What I realized is that in human medicine, a lot of these doctors don't function well outside of that specialty. Mm-hmm. Whereas the standard is completely different for vets. It's completely different. So you have all of these things at play, and it's really the perfect storm to have mental health issues. So, which is something that I also am going to eventually want to talk about, is that it's rampant in this profession. And I don't want to like just lead with everything negative, because it's really wonderful. It is like, you have the potential to make so much of an impact in people's lives just by virtue of helping them. And, you know, it's like almost like being where I was, we tried to treat people like family, you know, and that's what it meant to me. It's like I would do, you know, I would give advice or recommend things like I would do to one of my friends. Like I would say the same things, or one of my family members, you know, like honesty was really important to me. Honesty and telling people the truth was really important to me. So it's, you know, it's a relationship. And if you're a general practitioner, you have a relationship with your clients and their pets. And so I don't think that, and maybe I don't know a lot of general human practitioners. My guess is it's probably not the same. So, and so because you have this closeness with a lot of people, vets can be very hard on themselves when things don't go well. Or things, you know, mistakes happen, things happen. Medicine and science is not perfect. You know, we're making, at the end of the day, educated guesses based on what we know. And so sometimes we're wrong. It happens. It happened with my mom very recently when she was in the hospital. It's like sometimes what they say is not right, or ends up not being, you know, not correct, or something happened that kind of refutes what they said originally. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's tough. It's tough. And people don't have as much grace with vets as they do with human practitioners. They're a lot harder on us. And I think it's more of that closeness. Maybe that factors into it too. But it's a wonderful profession for certain people. You know, for certain people that can handle it. And that's the truth. You know, I mean, I want to make sure that I'm being very truthful in speaking to you guys about that, because it really is not for everyone.
Yeah, I never put too much thought into like how
hard it is.
Mentally, taxing and stressful that field is.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's so cool. Like, I get to do everything now. You know, I get to work up. You know, I was at a place yesterday, and you know, I had a case that was really sick, and we're gonna like do an ultrasound on Monday. We're gonna do biopsies. Like, it's like, I love science and I love medicine, and it's just really cool how you can put everything together and try to use that to help somebody. And so, and because and I want to obviously say something positive, because I feel like I've been saying nothing but negative things. It's like, because you are there and because you exist, and I might even be paraphrasing like a quote, you're making someone's life easier. You're helping them. And that, at the end of the day, can be, despite all the negative stuff that I've just said, that can be extremely rewarding. And I think it can give a lot of people purpose, which is great. So.
Yeah, I mean, definitely there needs to be, like, even though there's always a lot of negative stuff you have to deal with, like, there's always something at the end that makes you want to keep doing it. Otherwise, I don't think you would have done it for 18 years.
Exactly. At the end of the day, it's just, you have these really good days. It's just like with anything. You have these really good days where you like help people, and it's like, this is awesome. And then you don't picture yourself doing anything else. And I think one of the issues with being a vet, and it's a specific skill set that you have, and I think people have a hard time maybe parlaying those skills into other things. So even if maybe you're dissatisfied with the profession, you may not leave because you kind of think that you can't do anything else. Like I'm stuck. Like I can't do anything else. Meanwhile, there's tons of other avenues you can take. You can work you can teach. You can work in a lab. You can work for the government. The government's always looking for veterinarians. You can work on a farm. There's tons of things that you can do. But I think when people are dissatisfied or upset with the profession or feeling stressed or drained, they're kind of like, oh, well, I can't do anything else. I have to do this. It's the only thing that I can do, which can become problematic. And I read a lot of stuff online. Like I'm on Reddit, which is my only form of social media, which I'll say it's my only form of social media. And I'm on like veterinary forums, and people like once or twice a week, like every week, people are like, I'm leaving the field. They're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it makes me so sad. And I think the other thing is there's not good awareness around, there is more now, but I think veterinarians stuff their emotions and are not really cognizant of their own mental health and how it's affecting them, which I think, if people did meditation, they'd obviously fare a lot better, which, it's helped me so much with all of this stuff. And things that for a lot of people they would quit have become very, very manageable. So, because I've changed my mind with this method.
I'm like imagining on the Reddit forums. Like,
yes,
just try this meditation.
I know.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, I know. I could do that. Yeah, it's so sad. And people who have been out of school I just read something about this person who's been out of school a year, and they're already quitting. So, and it's the other thing that I'll mention is there's a discrepancy with like debt to income. So, you accumulate, veterinary school is expensive. And so we make significantly less than salary-wise than what other professionals make. So you have to be okay with having student debt, because we're paying off student debt over a period of time. And it's like, people are like, oh, like, it's an easier pill to swallow if you're like, well, I'm making a certain salary so I can take this debt and eventually I'm going to make more. But sometimes the salaries, and I hate to like talk about money, but practically speaking, if you have a certain amount of debt, you have to be paid a certain amount to make up for that in order to be able to live and pay your bills and take care of your family and have a house, all these things that we have to deal with. It's like, so it makes that very hard too. And so the other thing that people don't understand as well is that a lot of people in veterinary medicine, a lot of clients do not have insurance. That's rapidly changing, and it's rapidly changing as a result of the pandemic. I think there's more awareness around it now, but like people didn't have insurance. So a lot of times people weren't able to afford things for their animals. They weren't, like most people don't budget for animals like they budget for everything else in their life. So they become, kind of like disposable. Well, I don't have the money for this procedure, so I'm just going to, give this pet up. It's terrible. Like, it's terrible that I'm saying this, but and I think what makes this profession infinitely more difficult, and what has been consistent in a lot of the threads I'm reading about people leaving, is that people hold it over your head. Oh, you can't save my pet for free. You just want to make money. Like, it's just about money for you. You're like, that's you know, you need to run up my bill so you can do X, Y, and Z, and money's the only important thing. And so that's held over a lot of vets' heads, and it makes some people feel really bad because that couldn't be further from the truth. You know, for all we have to endure through like our schooling and everything like that, it's not about, it's actually, that could be the furthest thing from the truth, is that it is just about money. And then you have, you know, people taking to the internet to like air their grievances about that too. Like Yelp and Google and Facebook, and they just, and a lot of the times it's wrong. It's their perception, which is usually not correct, or they're leaving out like pertinent details about what happened. Because they're coming from their end of it, and a lot of people don't understand. So they're very emotional, and it's like emotionally charged. So they'll just go, they get behind the keyboard and just bash the vets. And they don't realize how damaging it is for us. And like, I had it happen to me. I had it happen to me last year, and I would read these things about people that I would be like, oh, this is crazy. Why are people saying this? You know, and and I would say I'm so glad that this hasn't happened to me, and then it did, and then it opened my eyes, and I have to like really like credit the meditation. Last year, I had somebody sort of make up something. I'm not going to get into the details, but their dog had passed away from an illness, which is, we had recommended a diagnostic that they just ended up just not doing. Like they just said, I'm not going to do it. And the dog ended up passing away. And we are trying to address that illness by using said diagnostic, and she didn't do it. And so, and we were trying to help her. We were trying to reach out to her, and the dog passed away. And so she blamed us. And so, and took to social media to do that. And it was like probably one of the hardest times in my life, because she maligned my character and my office and my staff, who had the biggest hearts of anyone. And so I would like drive to work during that time and be like, oh my God, like what's she going to do today? Is she going to put something else up? Like what's going to happen today? And I would become so anxious over it. And it was really hard. It was really, really hard. And so, you know, I had to throw away or get rid of those minds that I had, where like, what is she going to do? What's going to happen? You know what I mean? Like, I really had to use my meditation practice for that. And like, I'm so grateful that I can do that, right? Because other vets don't have this. Like, we're so lucky that we have this, that we can like see those thoughts come up and then address them, you know? So, and like, I just am, this meditation got me through those weeks of being, because, you know, people can file board complaints. Even if they have no basis for the complaint, they can do it. It doesn't cost any money. And I'm like, what if she does this? What if she goes to the board? Like, I was like a wreck. And so I really leaned in hard to this method that whole time. And I really believe that I think it got me through like that. Because it was really my mind that was the problem. Like, I was like, oh my God, this, that, like the storytelling. And so I had to get rid of the story. So I think it, and I'll tell you, it's been a year. It just came up now, obviously, because we're talking, but it doesn't come up. It hadn't come up at all. Like, I'm in a place where I was I'm kind of over it, which is amazing, because like it was at top of mind like every day for like weeks. And I was so afraid that she was really going to go take it to the next level. And it ended up not happening. And it's so funny because I was like talking to a couple weeks after it happened, I was in a session with Claire and she's like, well, whatever happened with that? And I was like, this person just went away. Like, it was like amazing. It just, the way it went down was just like, whoa, like she's gone. And like, now I'm sitting here with you guys and in retrospect, it's like, I'm kind of over it. Like, it happened, like on to the next thing. And I don't carry any resentment either, which is like just amazing. Because I don't have to use my headspace resenting this, I don't have to take up energy resenting this person. Like I'm like, I understand where she was coming from and like, it's okay, so.
Great perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the meditation changes your perspective. Because it's like, I used to see these things through this like prism where it was like, I viewed things like a certain way, and I like to label stuff. And so I think that now that I've done this for a little while, it's really changed how I view things just like in general. So, and I think I wasted a lot of energy viewing things in a negative way. And like we talk about in the meditation, like nature's flow, like things happen and things are supposed to happen. And it's like, sometimes now I see things, well, maybe that needed to happen. Maybe that needed to happen for me to get to this next level. Yeah. So it's a lot. Viewing it in that way feels much better than viewing it the way that I did before. So
it's a much more positive mindset.
Yeah. I guess it's more of like the universe mind. Right. So again, I had to get through so much, and I'm like obviously still very much on the journey. It's just like I had to get through so much to get there. Yeah.
And one thing I want to address too is like, because yes, you mentioned that like time had passed.
Yeah.
It's been a year, and also this person kind of disappeared. So I feel like some could say like, oh, well, of course you're over it now because it's time passed and the person's not there. But like, I think without this meditation, like so many things in our lives that even though years pass and even though it's not here anymore, we're still carrying it in our minds. And like you said, you could still be holding on to resentment.
Yeah.
Or you could be worried, like, what if it happens again? And like, maybe you're still paranoid every time you go to work about like, what if, even if it's not this person, what if somebody else like them comes back? And that's the way that we can sometimes hold things where it affects the rest of our lives. But it sounds like you're not in that place.
Well, I will say like, if it does, so I don't feel that way now. But if it does come up, then that's an opportunity to throw it away again. So, it's like I need to keep throwing away. But I think I feel, again, I'm grateful that I don't have resentment because I know a lot of people I work with, or some people I work with probably still do. And they can carry that with them. And I've heard of similar things happening to like to other people, because I have friends in the profession too, and it's still eating at them, like years later or whatever, however long it's been. But I have a tremendous amount of faith in the method that if it does come up, then that's an opportunity for me to get further, like to throw it away again.
Right. Just to grow from it.
But I think, too, with like, speaking to my own anxiety, which I've always struggled with, I was like an anxious kid. This has really made a big dent in that, because I realized that I have told myself so many stories that were not true. And now, because of by virtue of having more of the universe mind, it's like I'm trying to write a better story. You know, it's like my friend always says, like, why don't you tell yourself a good story? You know what I mean? Why does it have to be the bad one? And it's like, now I'm like, okay, like maybe it's not going to go down like that. So I guess the universe mind kind of has helped with having more, not having, like having more, having space cleared out in my head, in my human mind, has helped me see things a lot differently.
I like that. Tell yourself a good story.
Yeah. I know. I'm like,
it's good advice for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and when I was dealing with this review, it was like, well, it was me. Like, that's why we talk about like throwing away me, myself, is that I was the one who was coming up with it.
Right.
Like, it wasn't anybody else. It was me. It was my own brain. So nobody was sitting in front of me saying this and this and this is going to happen to you. Like, I was manufacturing these storylines that I had to eventually get rid of, because it's all like self-inflicted. You know, like I was the one that was doing it to myself. So like, you know, I think there's like a video that says, like, the meditation video that says, like, we're the actor, we're the director, you know what I mean? Like, we're like the star. And it was like me. And I relate so much to that, because I do it, you know, like I do it to myself. And it's like, I'm the one who's creating this stuff in my head that's like not true. And and I will say, because I've been doing it for so long, a lot of the stuff that I come up with doesn't even happen. And then I'm like, well, how did that work out for me? You know what I mean? Like, I did all of this to myself. How did that work out? And I put myself through such torture, and for what? For what? So much worry for what? And it's wasted time. It's wasted time and energy that I could be doing something else more productive. And that's why I'm here. Like, that's why I'm doing this meditation, because I know that, you know. So I think that if, you know, other vets could see that, like, would find something like this. I feel like I need to go to a conference and say, here's a business card, like, please. You know, the other thing is we're perfectionists. Like, veterinarians are very disciplined, very like, a lot of us are type A, and everything has to be a certain way. So like, if it's not, it becomes like, oh, like everything's a disaster. Like, it's not like, it's like if you have like a tower, right? And everything's in like a tower, and one of the little pieces falls out of the tower, like if it's a block, the whole tower falls. That's like how our brains are wired. And so now I feel like if one of the pieces comes out, like, it's okay. It's gonna be okay, you know? And it's hard, because I think a lot of my colleagues think like that. You know, if something happens or there's a mistake made or something goes wrong, they heavily will blame themselves. And it can become very draining and very damaging, and you need to have something in your toolkit for mental health. You have to. It's like so important.
Yeah, it made me think, like, I mean, you kind of mentioned it earlier, but everybody like expects you to have an answer.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is like you said, kind of an educated guess.
Yeah.
But what's funny is, like, I mean, it's not funny, but there's a lot of pressure, but without you guys that actually did take the time to go to schooling and to study this, like, what would we do for our pets if we didn't have somebody who went through the training you did? And so to also then blame you when something doesn't go perfectly well, it's like, it's really not fair, because we wouldn't have any other choice or any other options without people like you.
It is unfortunate. It is unfortunate. And it happens all the time, like weekly. I read so much stuff. That's why I'm glad that I'm only on like Reddit. Like I don't use anything else because I just people do it. And unfortunately I have to say this too, like I think pets sometimes can be a manifestation of other people's mental health issues. So that also plays into it too. For some people, I do know somebody who does suffer from actual OCD, and she has freely admitted to me that the dog is a manifestation of her OCD.
How so?
Well, she would think there was something wrong with the dog and there wasn't.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So when somebody comes in and they're saying, you know, XYZ complaint, and then you're saying, no, it's not, then they're going to be like, well, what's wrong with you? You know? So that can be it's really hard. It's really, really hard. It's really hard. And then the other thing is, like, because of the pandemic, a lot of people did adopt pets because they're like, oh, I'm home. I'm going to be home for a while. Let me get a dog. And so then everybody went back to work. And on top of their work schedules, they were like, well, I can't really deal with like my pet anymore. I'm too busy, or now I'm commuting. And now the dog has separation anxiety because they were with their owner for like 2 years, like, and then they had to go back to work. So there's a lot of challenges, and I feel like if you don't have something in your toolkit to like help, it can really consume you, or you end up leaving. Like and again, I've said I'm just doing this for purposes of like, okay, like we have all these challenges, we need this meditation, right? We need this meditation to help us, or we need some form of self-care to help us get through these hard things. It's a really wonderful profession, but if you're not taking care of yourself, it can be really problematic for a lot of people. So the meditation has helped me take care of myself.
That's an important part of like people who help other people, is that you you need something for yourself first to like get yourself in a good place.
Anything, nurses. I'm sure there's gonna be, I hope that there's a lot of nurses that watch this and see this, and hopefully they can identify, because they have it rough too. Nurses, doctors, dentists, any caregiver is probably gonna feel this way with a lot of the things that they're doing too.
Kind of slight sidestep, but I remember seeing a doctor on social media saying that, like, he's like, we need to normalize and be okay with people in the medical profession saying, I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. You know, it's interesting that you bring that up, because I've been okay with saying that lately, you know, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And then that's where, to what I was talking about before, like that's when you have to say, well, I'm going to ask somebody else who might know,
Right.
or, you know, involve like another, and that was hard for me, because a lot of times I was by myself, and like, I was like, I don't really know. I'm going to have to call someone else, or call a specialist, or talk to, you know, a colleague or whatever. But yeah, a lot of vets are and anyone who's like a perfectionist is like, saying you don't know means you failed. But it's not like that way at all. It's another opportunity to like learn. And to circle back to like meditation for this, is like, I've had a lot of instances where I didn't know what to do with somebody, or I didn't know whether it be like a case or a staff member. I would just be like, okay, I don't know. Let me just put this over here for now. And I think what would happen, because I was clearing my mind, is I would feel like I would suddenly just know what to do with these things. It was the wildest thing. And it would just come to me. I'd be like, oh, like randomly, I would just be like at home and it wouldn't even be at work. And I'm like, that's what I'm going to do, And I think it's because of the method, like it cleared out space in my mind for me to experience truth, experience the universe, experience, whatever you want to call it. And then I'll be like, okay, well, there's my answer, and then it felt good. Like it felt right. Like it didn't feel like harsh or like, and I wasn't grappling with like whatever truth would come up. I would, with conviction, be like, this is what I'm going to do. And I felt good about it. So I think the meditations helped with, not to say that I'm like this all powerful, all knowing person, because I'm not. It's just that I felt like, I was like, okay, like I know. Like now I feel good about this, and I just needed space around it to kind of figure it out. Because these things would feel so heavy to me at the time that, like, I think doing the method every day really got me to the point where I was able to like clear away a lot of like junk in my head, where I would, with that space, I could kind of figure out or navigate other things.
Yeah, it sounds like gave you a lot more clarity, like
clarity.
Clear out like all the clutter of all the input in the mind, and then you can actually have like more of a better understanding or idea of what you should do.
And I want to credit the, like, I don't want to also say that it's me, it's the universe. Like, I'm not coming up with these things. So it's been extremely helpful.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it seems like it puts you more in touch with your just like intuition to like just figure it out, and I kind of relate to that too. Like even if I'm like I've been studying like coding and different stuff too, which is like obviously a completely different field, but like sometimes I'll be working at something and then like I'll put it away, and when I'm stepping away from it is when like, oh, I have this idea or that idea.
Yeah,
so it's like just when you're able to like step away from it in your mind, I think it opens you up to.
I think there's like when those things come up, like I would have this urgency to figure it out like right at that time and like on the spot. Like you need to have an answer. But if you have some grace with yourself, you're like, well, I don't know right now. Like maybe I need some time. And then it would somehow just come to me. Or the other thing that would happen, which is really cool, or it would work out without me doing anything. That was the other thing that would that happened. Where I felt like so with the ego, with me, it's like I feel like I would have to figure out everything.
Right.
And a lot of things got figured out with me doing nothing at all, which is like so amazing, and it takes the pressure off. Like I don't have to be responsible for it's also wasn't my job to figure it out either. So some things were not my job to figure out, but I would like make it, oh, I have to figure this out right now. And I didn't, and it worked out, and it with me doing nothing.
Yeah, I think like it gives you a more humble mind.
Yeah.
Knowing when to step away, because when you're in it and you like, same thing as like anything in life, but like being inside your thoughts and inside your human mind, where it's like, I have to do this, I have to be perfect.
Yeah.
But then when you step away and create space. Literally or metaphorically.
Yes.
All of a sudden you have this clarity.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really life-changing to be able to have something like this, to navigate just everything. Like relationships, work. We're just really, really fortunate. Really, really fortunate to have something that is accessible and so simple and simplified, because my brain likes to complicate things. It's like, there's nothing complicated about this, and I can't complicate it. So it's like, it works great for me. So.
So how were you able to fit meditation into your busy schedule?
So, just we're so lucky that we have this, this meditation. I think the Zoom classes were amazing. That was really how I did it is I did 2 o'clock every day in my car on my lunch break. So I worked Monday through Friday. And then I had a break between 1:30 and 3 to like catch up on like cases or calls or things like that, eat lunch. And so from 2, I was always done by 2, or I would make it a priority to be done by 2. And I would hop into the 2 o'clock Zoom at, every day. So, you know, it's so amazing because like I would see a lot of the same people that would go. And like I would come out of work in like a flurry from like the morning appointments and all the stress and the staff stress and all of that. And then I would sit in meditation and see like, shout out to Chami. I don't know if she's watching, but I would see her face because she did the Monday, Wednesday class. And I would be like, oh, it's going to be okay. Like, it's going to be okay. Like, Chami's here. And like, it would be the same people that would go every like day. And it was like the 2 o'clock plan. And like, I felt like connected, even though we're all on a computer screen, like a cell phone. For me, it was a cell phone screen. Like I felt like, oh, like these are my people. Like it's going to be okay. And then I would walk into work like a different person as a result of being able to do that. So I think the Zoom classes are amazing. Like we really are so lucky to be able to meditate like every 2 hours there's a class. You know, so I think that was part of it. And I actually in the beginning of last year, I'm not really big on resolutions. I'm not a resolution person. I'm like very anti-resolutions. I said to myself, I'm going to try to do 365. I'm going to try to do a meditation class every single day. And I made it. It wasn't easy, but I made it. And 2024 ended up being one of the hardest years of my life on so many levels. And it started with that review, and then it went to like, some other work stress. And it really came in handy having the meditation to deal with all of those things. And actually I part owned a business with someone else. And at mid-July, we actually ended up closing it. And the fact that I wasn't devastated that it closed. I mean, I poured my heart and soul into that place for a good 7 years, and we just like shut the doors. And I was totally fine with it. Like I would see people and they would be like, "Are you okay? Like, are you okay? That's horrible." And I'd be like, "No, it's fine." Like, it's okay, And at the end of the year, my mom ended up getting sick, and it was just like I had all of these things happen. And I think the meditation is what made these things that if I wasn't using it, or I wasn't using this, I didn't have this in my toolkit, it would have been like catastrophic. Like I think I would have went crazy. But I was so okay with all of these really negative things happening. And I think I realized like now I had a business partner, and I think we were just different. We're just different people. And I'm not speaking bad about him. It was very amicable, us kind of parting ways. But it's like we are different. We have different value systems. And like now I'm involved in something that's probably more for me. and I'm attracting different people into my life that are more positive for me, or not, just a better fit for me in my life. And so it's really amazing how that happened. And it's just like this inherent trust in what's supposed to happen, nature's flow, what the universe wants for you. Or, you know, like I saw a video that said like finding your true self. It's like your true self is like a priceless treasure. And like I think through this you know, getting rid of all this stuff, I'm finding that, and as a result, people are coming into my life that are like a better fit for me in general. And so I think I have some perspective on that. And so I think that it's just, it wasn't a bad thing that the business closed. You know, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. And I learned a lot doing what I did for so long. So I don't have any resentment against anything there either. So I think the meditation really helped me see it in a different way and be okay with it, and also be open to something new, you know. And like the reality is like in the absence of having facts, I like to write the story. And like I don't always write a good one. So it's like now it's like, okay, like I wouldn't have imagined being where I'm at now and being like happy and working with these people, like working with different people, you know, and being like, this is great. Like, this is awesome. I would have never expected this for myself. If I had fought the business closing, then I wouldn't be here, you know? And I also, you know, because I wasn't working as much, my mom got really sick in November, was in the hospital. And so I was able to be there for her because I wasn't working. And I realized how lucky I am to be able to be there for her, you know, because that was, I would have never been able to go, never been able to sit with her, never been able to visit her, and never been able to help her with her medical care if I was still working there. There was no way. So it's like things happen for a reason. And the meditation is making me open to the fact that it's like, I don't know anything. Like, I don't know how it's going to turn out. So I'll pretend like, and I'll create these stories like I know, but it may be totally not what you expect.
It's very inspiring to hear that story.
Yeah. It's like we want to just say like, oh my God, my business closed. It's the end of the world. It's like, maybe it's not. Like, what's on the other side of that?
Good thing, bad thing, hard to say.
Yeah. We don't know. And you know, it's also made me like a lot better at dealing with like uncertainty, you know, because uncertainty brings up the storytelling. You know, like with the uncertainty, I lean into my storytelling ability. Well, my ability to storytell. And then again, it's like I have to, like, it's an opportunity to throw away like the negative stuff too. So it's been very interesting. It's been a very interesting journey for me. So
I remember like seeing that this meditation is like kind of the bridge between like psychology, ideology, philosophy, and spirituality. And like I feel like your story kind of bridges all like just hearing it, like logically how it worked out, spiritually how it's kind of making sense.
Yeah.
And it's just really inspiring to hear.
Yeah. I mean, I look forward to continuing on the path because, you know, like life gets lifey, you know, and then it's like I have this to lean into, you know, like when my mom was in the hospital, I was like a wreck. And they didn't really know, it wasn't like clear what was wrong with her. We were being told different things. And like one Friday night I got out of the hospital and I like sat in my car and did the meditation. And it immediately like took everything that I was carrying and just, it all went away. And I was able to deal with things a lot more like rationally. So it's amazing that we can do that. Like it's there for us to just literally press a button. And it was like 9 o'clock on a Friday night and there was like other people there. I wasn't by myself. There was a guide. There's a guide and there's other people. Like, and it's, even though like I've never met these people before in my life, like they helped me, you know, and the guide helps me, you know, so it's just like it feels like I have support.
There's a sense of community.
Yeah, there's a sense of community about it. And so I didn't feel like my thoughts can be lonely. Like when I create stuff in my head or when I get into like my anxious like spiral, I feel like those thoughts are lonely. Like carrying them is like lonely and it feels hard. But then as soon as I break out of that and I try to like focus outward and like hop into a meditation class, everything changes. And my perspective changes too as a result of that.
Yeah, we always have a choice to like sit there, hold on to it, and like justify, oh, I'm angry because of this, or I feel hurt because of this, and but yeah, it sounds like taking the responsibility of like I don't have to sit in this, and I can just meditate.
And I can take an action, which can help me. You know, it's for me. It's like when I'm in that like spiral, I need to take some type of action. Because I'll drive myself crazy. And so it's like when I sit there and I like press the button and I'm in the class and it's like, okay, now I can focus. Now I have something to break out of my thoughts and have awareness around the thoughts and then subsequently just get rid of them because they're not helpful. You know, so it's that night was so incredibly hard. And like these people that are all over the United States that are guides, like they don't even understand how much they help me. Like people I've never, it's like amazing. Like people I've never met before, you know? So I'm a big fan of the Zoom classes. Because I had such a schedule where I was not able to, like I wasn't able to come always to the center. I have a lot more time now that I can do that, but it was hard for me to like actually make it to a center. So I don't know how many other methods exist where that exists. Like where you have multiple classes all day long. Like if you can't make one class, then you can, it was just the thing like with the pandemic, you know, like that was bad. You know, most people would see that as a bad thing, but there's a lot of good that came of it. And one of the things was like Zoom. I actually think Zoom is great. I mean, I literally like, there's really no excuse for me to like not be able to make it to class. Yeah. I have a cell phone. My cell phone has service. They're available, you know? So I think that was the reason why it made it so easy this past year to do the 365 because there are Zoom classes. So, yeah. I don't know what other methods exist or what other people are doing, you know, but I think that anyone that seeks out like this spiritual path, like it's just made very easy for us here. So if you're, you know, if you want it and you want to help yourself, you'll make it happen. And we have guides and they just make it easy for us to make it happen. So I think that's great.
Yeah, very grateful thing. And yeah, like that's a good point that it's on us to make it happen too.
Yep.
But I think also there's something about having the consistency of like those guides that are there live every single day at this specific time.
Yeah.
Because like you said, like you're not alone anymore.
Yeah.
And like some people could be maybe taking to YouTube or something like that for like whatever they might be doing to help their mental health. But to know like there's a community of people here, I just have to click this button.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's just really the dedication that the guides and helpers put into that too, and the consistency is really
Yep.
grateful.
And it's so nice to see the same people. Like it's actually comforting to see the same people there every day. Like it's like I don't know them, but like I feel like I know them. I don't know. You know? Like if I saw one of the guides in person, I'd be like, oh my God, you know, like it's just so cool, you know, that we have the community aspect too of everyone just, you know, like, it's like, oh, we're all in this together, you know, and there were other people who probably were at work too, you know, doing the meditation at 2:00, trying to, like, a lot of people, everyone struggles, you know, because life can get hard. So it's like we have this that we can like lean into when it gets really hard, you know? So definitely Zoom was really the way that I was able to make this really, like the 365 really happen. I wasn't always able to get here in person. So we're really lucky that, you know, we have that we have access to that, and that there's so much effort and structure into like there's a guide there every class, you know, taking us through that. So I honestly think it's pretty cool.
I just want to like shout those guys out again.
Yes,
because like
all the Zoom guides, thank you. It's like they got me through, like, people I've never met got me through one of the hardest years of my life. Like last year was so incredibly hard, and it's like just from them being there, like I don't think they realize how much it means to like see their faces on the screen, you know? So, and it's like I could see them and like take a breath and be like it's gonna be okay. So thank you, guides. Thank you so much. Everyone. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's crazy how much we take for granted, right? Like without like you had to take the action to actually join the class and do the meditation every day. But if not for them having that class there, there wouldn't be a class to join. Without like this meditation method, we wouldn't even have a reason to join. Like, so there's so many layers to be.
I'm sure there's a lot. There's a lot of work that goes into that. Like, so we can be okay. You know, all the guides that are doing the work, and the classes are so organized. Everything's so organized. So, like I said, it's super simple.
And I know, like, they would also say, like, you know, they received help themselves from like the founders, teachers of the meditation method too, and they feel like they're just paying it forward as well. So, everybody's just kind of like giving what we receive in some way.
Yeah, so like you know, when I think back to like this past year where I was like working like crazy, and you know, I was like in my car on the 2:00 class, it's like I think about all the guides. You know, like I actually, even though it was such a difficult year, I think fondly about them and the classes and being there, and, you know, like having access to that. It's like a bright spot, you know, in my life. Whereas like in the midst of all this craziness, it was like I had this like a support system.
Do you want to talk about not one more vet?
Yeah, actually, one of the things that I wanted to say is that I think people don't realize, you know, with vets, there's a lot of mental health issues. And we have one of the highest suicide rates of any profession. And so there is an organization, they actually have a website, it's called Not One More Vet. And their whole goal is to raise awareness around suicide in the veterinary profession. And so they have, peer support. And so I wanted to sort of plug them and also thank them for, they could probably work with at some point, this meditation group, because I think they provide resources for veterinarians that are struggling. And so they really do a great service to like our community. And so I wanted to just say, like, just raise awareness on, the veterinary profession and how people are treated. And, a lot of people don't think about like when they're there and the words that they use and how people are affected by what, clients say, whether it's like in person or online or whatever, it can be very damaging. And this group has really focused on making sure that vets don't take their own lives, and that their lives are worth something, and that doesn't have to be the answer. And there's things that you can do, and I'm so lucky that I found that I was led to this method, and I have things that I can do for my mental health. But I think still people really struggle with awareness around when they're not feeling good. And so I want to definitely credit that organization for like the good work that they do. And I want to credit the method, for helping me. So
one thing I think is just a good reminder for everybody is that, like, try to remember to give people credit where credit is due. Like, as much as you might be angry about something and want to express that, also when you're happy about something, I think we forget to do that sometimes. Like, we forget to say, like, wow, thank you so much for giving my pet their vaccination. Like, I'm so glad you have the knowledge to do this and keep my pet, you know what I mean? Like, we don't go that far with our gratitude as far as we go with our, when things don't go well.
Yes. So, yeah. It's important. That's a good point. Yeah. I think people are quick to highlight the negative things, and they just completely forget about all the positive stuff. So I
thank you for your hard work and dedication.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. I really, really appreciate that. So I think that this is also the meditation is allowing me to be better at that too. With my interactions with people and being a better listener. I'm not, because I've let go of so much, a good amount of my human mind thus far. I'm not always thinking about what I'm going to say next. I'm not always like formulating, like I can listen, like I can listen and retain, information from people and be able to use that to help them. So, but so. And thank you guys. Thank you guys for doing this podcast, and it's amazing. And I love your logo. The logo is awesome. Yeah. So
the camera can't see it right now. It's back there.
And thank you guys for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for your inspiring story.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
I hope a lot of vets listen to this.
I hope so too. And anyone in in the service, customer service, caregiving, hopefully it can help someone today.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you for having me. It's been great. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Cham Chats. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to leave a review and follow us on social media. All of the links are in the description. And if you're interested in trying this meditation method yourself, you can visit onlinemeditationevents.com for online classes or to be connected to a center near you. See you next time.